Zandvoort was a very boring race in actuality, but it's interesting for the championship. If Norris looks as quick as he is, and McLaren looking to better after the massive upgrade they received, I think this is going to be a very interesting season's end. Hello everybody, my name is Diamond Racing and I'm going to give you my ranking and race review of the Zandvoort GP Max Verstappen's home race where he didn't win for the first time in the modern era, which is surprising because I don't think anyone could have beaten him here. So interesting to see that Norris beat him with 22 seconds. That was a shock. So let's get into it, not waste so much time because I want to make this as quick as possible. Thank you for everybody's support, and yeah, let's just jump into it. Last place, 20th, is going to be Zhao Guan Yu. He's going to be my qualifying loser of the drivers that actually finished the session. Sargent would have been the worst indefinitely, and he was definitely my worst driver in the race as well. So that's why he is last place, because he actually had a very bad stinker this whole weekend. He's had a bad form of races, and I don't think he's going to be at the be in F1 for next season if this is how he's going to perform. P19 is going to be Logan Sargent. A very bad qualifying because he didn't have a qualifying because he crashed in FP3 with a very bad mistake. Such a bad mistake that Williams is thinking about removing him from the rest of the season. And if that happens, I really hope Lawson gets that seat. It'll be cool to see Mick Schumacher in it, and Antonelli. It said he's not gonna be in that seat for some reason. I don't know why. So yeah, very interesting. But his race was decent enough. He had a good car. Albon showed that the car was good enough, but I think he wasn't as good as his teammate, and that's all I can say. He didn't have a good race. Well, he had a good race, but not a great race. 18th place is going to be Esteban Ocon. He's down here because his teammate was just that good this weekend. Ocon was out in Q1, while his teammate went into Q3, and then his teammate was so much faster than him in that entire race. I think he ended up 40 seconds ahead of him, or he had just so much more pace than him. Gasly likes Zandvoort for some reason. He's been good here. I don't think Ocon enjoys it here. So yeah, that's why Ocon is only P18. He couldn't go forward. I think he actually went back. And in the qualifying, yeah, he didn't do a very good job. So that is why he is only P18. P17 is going to be Sergio Perez. Now, this was a little bit better performance from Sergio Perez in the past few races. Qualifying wasn't that good. He only qualified, I think, P6 or P5. And in the race, he finished P6. He should have finished P7. But Mercedes decided to pit Russell. I'm not sure why. So he should have been finished P7, but he did good enough to stay in P6. Sainz was faster than him in the slower car, so that's not good. I don't know. Perez, he should get his stuff straight if he wants to keep that seat for the rest of the year. P16 is going to be Lance Stroll. He had a decent enough weekend. Well, I don't know how to explain his weekend. That's the weird thing though. He had a good enough qualifying. I think that car is very bad, but he came into Q3. He wasn't that far behind Alonso. And in the race, he did keep good enough pace with Alonso before dropping significantly, and Alonso just had better pace. But what can you expect from a two-time champion? And yeah, Stroll did good enough, but he's only P16 on my list. P15 is going to be Oscar Piastri. Now, this is the driver I said was going to be my good driver, and he did not have a good drive. Qualifying, he was like half a second behind Norris. And in the race, he was more than like 25 seconds behind his teammate. He couldn't get past Leclerc. Is that because Leclerc was just that good, or Oscar Piastri struggled? I don't know, but with the car that he had underneath him, he should have overtaken Leclerc, and he should have probably overtaken Verstappen as well. 20 seconds ahead of Verstappen when his teammate is like 20 seconds ahead of Verstappen and he can't get past Leclerc. That's not a good sign. He's been wonderful this season, but I think this has not been his best race at all. B14 is going to be Yuki Tsunoda. Good qualifying. He qualified into Q2, not into Q3, and he did out-qualify Ricciardo. Ricciardo had better pace in the race. I'm not sure what happened though, because I think they stopped him twice, if I'm not mistaken, and he couldn't get past Sargent for some reason. I remember him and Sargent fighting, but he couldn't get past Sargent. So that's why he is as low as B14, because he did not have a good race at all. And I think Ricciardo did a better job overall this weekend, which is good for Ricciardo, but Tsunoda should at this moment state his intent to staying at Red Bull or Racing Bulls. P13 is going to be Lewis Hamilton, one of his worst qualifyings. I'm not sure what happened. Sorry for the noise in the background. I really apologize for that. Nothing I can do about that. But P13 is Lewis Hamilton. He had his worst qualifying, I think, in a while. And it's no wonder why. Actually, it is a wonder why. I don't know what happened. I don't know why he was out in Q2. I don't know if he made a mistake. I think he did make a mistake. Now I think about it, they showed a replay of him making a mistake. But that is his mistake he made. His race was quite good. He made it past drivers left and right. He almost overtook his teammate as well. But I think Russell just had enough in the tank to stay ahead. I think Hamilton had the better race, but Russell definitely had a much better qualifying. P12 is going to be Kevin Magnussen. This one is a weird one. He just qualified behind his teammate, I think with like a 0.06 or something. And in the race, he was the only one that started on hards, I think. And he did a very good stint. I think he was in the points. And then he had a bit of course, and yeah, you can just see how slow that car was before he pit. Like 5 drivers just like overtaking him on the last turn in that pit straight. That was very cool to see, IndyCar vibes, but yeah, that kind of destroyed his race. But he had a good comeback when he had the mediums on, and some other drivers stopped twice, but he only stopped once. So a decent enough race. I think he had a very good performance, so that's why he is P12. The last driver not to score points in P11 is going to be Carlos Sainz. Qualifying, like I said, with Hamilton, not the best. He did not have any dry running. That's why he struggled in the dry weather, because his car didn't work in FP2. I think that's the reason. I remember them saying something like that. But his race pace was amazing. Leclerc and Sainz had like amazing race pace. Leclerc was just a little bit better in my opinion. He and Norris had amazing race pace, but Sainz was not far behind, So that's why he's P11, even though he had a very bad qualifying, he had an amazing race. P10, our first point scorer is going to be Daniel Ricciardo. Not his best qualifying, but his race was very nice. Almost in the points. I think he finished P12 or 13 or something like that. Very good from him. Ricciardo showing his maturity in this race. Last year he broke his arm here, so it's good to see him actually just finish it. P9 is going to be Fernando Alonso. Now, I think that car is much worse than Alonso is showing. He was almost in the points, so I can't remember if he finished P10 or Hulkenberg finished P10, but that's okay. Alonso had a very good qualifying, qualifying his teammate and outracing his teammate when it looked like that's not the norm anymore. So yeah, Alonso had a very good race with the car he had, and I think that is being overlooked severely. P8 is going to be Nico Hülkenberg. Not his usual qualifying pace, just a little bit ahead of his teammate, but his race was very, very good. He, like I said, I can't remember if he finished P10 or if Alonso finished P10 and he was 11th, but he had a very good race. So he stopped a lot earlier than most of the drivers, and he was 9th for a very long time until Gasly caught him. And I can't remember if he finished 10th or Alonso finished 10th. But he had a very good race pace, and I'm very happy that he did or did not score points. He finished P10 or 11, maybe even P12. I can't really not remember. But Hulkenberg had very good race pace, and I'm happy for him. 7th place is going to be Valtteri Bottas. Like I always say when I talk about Bottas, it's hard to say how good he was. That car of his is like the slowest car by far. So for him to finish P19 is good because there's nothing better he can do. But he out-qualified his teammate by more than a second. That's like the biggest margin ever between all of the drivers. And in the race, he was better than Zhou by a lot. That's why Zhou is so low, because he's just struggling. I don't know if Zhou is struggling or Bottas is just pushing the car further than it can, but he's still not scoring points because he's just that slow. But still, I think Bottas did good enough. That's why he is only P7. It's hard to rank. P6 is going to be George Russell. Quite a high place for Russell to be in some people's opinions, but he had a very good qualifying. I think he qualified P4. Yes, he qualified P4. He had a good start. He was ahead of Piastri, but then the car pace just like dropped. And then Mercedes stopped him again, and that's why he finished P7 when he should have finished P6. If they didn't put him, I still think he would have finished P6, but they wanted to do another type of strategy. It didn't work out, so yeah. Russell P6, where he should have been in the race, but still a very good drive from him. P5 is going to be Alex Albon. Qualifying was very good. He did not have a car to get into Q3, that's my opinion, but he did it anyways, and then got disqualified because his underfloor was 3 millimeters, like 3 millimeters too wide. I'm not sure how that happened, but they just like scratch it off or something for the race, which is weird. So I don't know what happened there, but if it wasn't for that, he probably would have scored points this weekend because he still had an amazing race. He was in that fight for the points, and then he finished like 14th, 13th, 12th, somewhere there, which is very good from Albon. Before is Charles Leclerc. What can I say about this guy? His qualifying was okay, that's why he's probably not this high. I'm really sorry about this. And his race pace, that's where he made the magic. I think between him and Norris, they had the best race. I think Norris just pushes it just a little bit, but I'll tell you why when I get there. But Leclerc had a very good race, finishing P3 when his car was actually just performing for P6. So that's very impressive. And I think he deserves a much better car at this point. Our podium sitters, third place is going to be Max Verstappen. And this guy, I don't know. I expected this guy to win. Qualifying was very good. Second, not in the second best car. Outperforming Piastri is very good. Norris just had something else that qualifying. The race, his start was amazing. Both of the McLaren struggled, but he got the best, and he was in the lead for a long time, or 15 laps, 14 laps, something like that. And he tried his best, and he was still second. Leclerc and Piastri was trying to get him, but he controlled his race, even though he had a car that struggled. So that's why he's P3. I think Leclerc had a better race, but I think the qualifying performance that he had was much better. That's why he's third. Our silver medalist is very close to our first one, and that's going to be Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly was my best driver of qualifying. Qualifying that car in P10, and then that became P9. Well, his teammate was on Q1, and then the race was amazing. It was very close between him and number one, but I'll tell you now why that happened. So it was very interesting. I'm so glad that Gasly did so well in that car. Second place for Gasly is very cool to say, but yes, I think he did very well. P1 is the winner today. Norris, like I said, he was my best driver in the race, beating Max Verstappen with 22 seconds while a teammate can't get past Leclerc. That just shows the dominance he has in that race. That's why he is ahead of Gasly for me. His qualifying was just amazing as well, being like just a little bit more than 0.4 seconds ahead of Verstappen. Like, that shocked me how fast he was. And no one should say it's the car, because Piastri has exactly the same car and couldn't get pole or second place in qualifying, and in the race he couldn't even get on the podium. So don't say it's the car, because that's not true. So that's my reasoning for my top 10. Let's go to my predictions. Yeah, it did not go as well. Only got 2 correct. My good drive was Piastri, that was wrong. Bad drive Alonso was wrong. Pole Verstappen wrong. 5th place Piastri wrong. 4th place Perez wrong. My 3rd and 2nd place Leclerc and Verstappen, that was correct. Then my 1st place Hamilton was not correct. And my crazy prediction was Gasly to have his best quality this year. I mean performance, like his place, but he had his best qualifying performance-wise. But that's still wrong, because that's not what I meant. So that means I only have 8 out of 27. So yeah. Thank you for watching this video. I'll try my best to do it when that's not as loud next time. Yes. Thank you for watching. Cheers.